Welcome to Lanyap, a program about events, issues, and people. I'm Corey Crow. I'm joined today by Steve Burnside. He's the director of the show, The Laramie Project, that'll be premiering at ULM. Welcome. Thanks for being with us, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about this production of The Laramie Project. And you wearing a different hat, too, because you're the longtime technical director at ULM, handling up on building sets and scenery and sound and lights. And this time you've got your directorial hat on.
Yes, it's actually my second time directing on campus here at ULM. The first was Crimes of the Heart last spring, and just real happy to be able to do it again.
This particular play, The Laramie Project, not about a happy subject. They're not all happy and they don't all end well, do they?
No, the Laramie Project really revolves around the story of Mathew Shepherd. 1998, he was a University of Wyoming student, was kidnapped, robbed, severely beaten, and left tied to a buck fence out in the middle of nowhere outside of Laramie, Wyoming.
For the folks that don't know, Wyoming is a huge place. There are not a lot of people in Wyoming, so even in the towns, you leave town and you're out in the middle of nowhere. They found Shepard, and what I remember, they thought he was a scarecrow tied to a fence. That's how severely he was beaten.
Yes. It was another student who had been riding his bicycle and just happened to actually wipe out and went over his handlebars right next to where Mathew Shepard was found, tied to that fence post.
He was a gay man,
Yes.
young man in Wyoming, and that did not go over well with some of the folks.
No, in fact, the two, I say boys, they were college-age gentlemen, but they the whole reason that all this happened to him was because he was gay, and the way that these two men felt about that.
The play will open Thursday night at ULM, Thursday, Friday, Saturday evenings, and then Sunday afternoon matinee at Spyker Theatre. Tell me a little bit about how the play is formatted, because you said it's from interviews that were done after the killing. Tell me how this works.
Yeah, the Tectonic Theater Company, headed by Moisés Kaufman, who wrote the play, went out to Laramie after the initial incident, but before any of the trials, and actually when they were there, Mathew Shepard was still alive. But over 2 years, they did over 200 interviews with basically anybody that would talk to them. This included anyone from first responders who actually were at the scene where he was found and took care of him afterwards, to some of the trial lawyers. He was a student at the university, so they talked to the university president. They talked to his academic advisor. They even talked to a lot of the religious leaders in the area. And what the play is their reactions to this event, good, bad. Some were very supportive, some were very caring, some really kind of denounced his lifestyle.
Speaking of denouncing, I remember that when Shepard died, that the protesters showed up. What were they? The Westboro Baptist Church folks, and protested the funeral and all the things that were going on there in Laramie.
Yes, a gentleman named Fred Phelps. I'm not sure if he was part of Westboro or not, but that is the type of religious group that he was a part of. But he did show up and was protesting across the street in a park from that funeral. We actually see part of that protest in the show.
You say this is taken from 200 different interviews that this that these folks did with citizens of the town. How many actors do you have that are part of this production?
Our production has 11 actors, and they are portraying about 70 different characters.
So everybody's got almost 7 people they have to be.
Yes.
That's going to be something to see. That must be a difficult thing to do, from costume changing and sets and all of that. A lot going on there with all these different folks.
Yes. In fact, it was the biggest challenge at the beginning of this show, was to assign all of these characters to the individual actors. And once we got even into rehearsals, there were some changes there. But as far as changing into these characters, the set is pretty ambiguous. It's a very basic set. And costume changes might be like somebody puts on a jacket, or somebody takes off a shirt or changes a shirt. It's very simple and very kind of more representative of these characters than an actual costume would be.
We've got a minute left, so out of all the nice, feel-good, happy ending things you could have, you've got one where 2 guys are convicted of murder and you've got a dead student. What made you pick this one?
I actually had a couple of students in my office one day as I was looking at what plays to do for this fall. And I mentioned the Laramie Project, and one of the 2 just lit up. Had read it before, was a queer student, and that kind of was the first spark. And I did some talking around visual and performing arts and on campus, and many people, more than I realized, knew this show and just said, yes, please.
Steve Burnside, director of the Laramie Project, opens Thursday, 7:30 show Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a 2 p.m. matinee on Sunday. You can get tickets at the door or on Eventbrite. Find out more about this at KEDM.org.